constitutional lawyers in the country. He's one of us. He argued two. He argued three Supreme Court cases, won two of them, and he said I was cheated on the third, and I tend to believe him. But he wrote two books and 8 articles on the constitutional militia, I think it's called, and he goes through the federal affairs and refutes the ACLU on what the founding fathers envisioned, for the Second Amendment. So we're not talking about radical. I don't like the word radicals because we're all so-called radicals, but we're not talking about people that are kind of maybe not totally prudent running around in the woods, although I'm not against that. But we're talking about the constitutional militia as the founding fathers, wanted it to be. Okay. So Q, we're close to 8. Are we?
Yeah, I'm going to start recording, and right now we are live on YouTube.
Okay. But do we have anybody else coming into the meeting?
They are.
Okay, well, you better start letting them in, I guess, right?
Yeah, I'm doing it constantly.
Okay. Well, we had, I think, 25 last week, and we're shooting. Q, you got that nice little Network America in the background there. That's good.
I'm good at that. I make media stuff.
Okay, good.
Jim, another person to pay attention to is Maurice Thompson, from the 1851 Center for Constitutional Law.
Yeah.
He's fighting a lot in Ohio. So he's another person to follow.
I'd like to know all these people. All we're trying to do is connect people, and everybody keep going with what they're doing. We just got to the leaders, even if they don't agree on every last thing, need to be kind of talking to each other. As long as they're against a mandatory vaccine, as long as they're for the Constitution rights. However, when I say mandatory vaccine, I don't just mean people coming to give force to your house to force a shot on you and your kids and your grandkids. I'm talking about any coercion, like we need a passport. Ezekiel Emanuel, Rahm Emanuel's brother, said on NPR a few days ago, we will have a passport from state to state. And even the NPR host said, wait a minute, there's a lot of pushback on that. And he said, well, it's inevitable. Well, we'll see if it's inevitable. But any coercion to do anything with regard to COVID or vaccine, that to me is getting to be a forced thing,
Yeah. He's a eugenicist. He's a neo-eugenicist.
Yeah.
And he's the brother of the Rahm Emanuel.
So can you tell how many people were in the meeting
right now?
Yeah.
You have, let me see. We have, what the heck? It's just showing.
I'm seeing 18.
I'm going to move, Jim. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I guess
That's fine.
It was showing me the number now because disappeared.
What is it?
18. But I mean, it should show me. Oh yeah, 18. Yeah, participants.
Okay.
Okay. Never mind.
Okay. Well, we'll probably, even if we only have that many, I was hoping we were going to have 100, but then we will have to get started in 2 minutes. So we'll give everybody a little chance to get in, and you're join them to the meeting, and then we'll start my presentation, which is a quick overall, and then Michael is going to give a presentation on following up and organizing and helping everybody learn what to do and do it.
Yeah, they're still coming.
Okay. Now we'll
but you can start it at any time because you can start it at least with a few things.
Right. Well, it's when it's 8:02. When it hits 8:03, we'll start. Okay. And then you can just keep letting them in as they come in.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
And again, we are live on YouTube, which is Network America. It's our new YouTube channel. It's going to be a customized channel very soon. Right now, the link is kind of random, but pretty much once we hit the 100 subscriber, then we would be able to customize it. And that's very important because that means people can find us on YouTube.
Yeah, and if
Just
YouTube kicks
search.
us off,
Yeah.
if they kick us off, we'll be setting up other platforms. Okay, well, I guess we should get started for the sake of promptness. It's 8:03. Welcome to the second Network America Neighborhood Precinct Committeeman National Call. And by national, we mean people invited from all over the country. My name is Jim Conda Jr. I've been involved trying to tell people about Precinct since 1986. We actually defeated the Hamilton County Republican Party in its heyday, thanks to an error they made and us taking advantage of it in 1990. But unfortunately, all the way up to the Ohio Supreme Court, they took it from us. Now, I want to just give a little overview of what the precinct system is, why we should waste any time doing it. We're not wasting time, but anyway, why should I do this? Why should I even put any effort into this? And then thirdly, what Network America hopes to do to rev it up into high gear. And okay, so we all know we have one country, that's the United States of America. We have that we live in 50 states, and those 50 states are divided into 3,141 counties. Now, most of us know we live in a county. I think everybody knows they live in a county. Okay, I live in Hamilton County in Ohio, which is Cincinnati, Ohio. Now, what people are vaguely aware of is that all those counties are divided into little geographical areas called precincts. And those boundaries are exactly drawn as the state or the county. In other words, you know exactly what people are in your precinct, your voting precinct, not your police precinct, but your voting precinct. And it has, like, sometimes one side of the streets, excuse me, on this precinct, another side of the streets on that precinct, but you know exactly the addresses. It's very precise. What people really don't know, and this is where we're losing our country, they don't know that in each of those precincts, you elect a precinct executive for each recognized party in the state, basically every 2 years. It's not that in every state. But so in Ohio, we have 3 recognized parties, Republican, Democrat, Libertarian right now. And on May 5th, or whatever the date is, on May 5th of the 2022, year and a month from now, you have a primary election that will elect a Democrat and a Republican, and if they have anybody running, the Libertarians, but a Democrat and Republican in these precincts. Why is that important? It's on the May primary ballot in Ohio. It may be different in your state, okay? So why is that important? So at the end of your ballot in Ohio, for instance, you're going to, if the coroner and everything else, if anyone's running and 1/3 of these precincts are vacant, we call it the most powerful office in the land, 1/3 of them are vacant. So you go ahead and you if anybody's running at the end of your ballot, you'll probably see somebody unopposed that'll say committeeman or something like that, precinct committeeman. Nobody even notices this. I didn't notice it the first 14 years I was in politics, from 1972 to 1986. And I felt like an idiot when I found out this is where the party leaders and the endorsed candidates come from. Here I'd been graduated from high school and college. We all should have been taught this in high school. But I learned in 1986, hey, the party leaders come from these precinct people. And so do the endorsed candidates, and how the votes are counted. So I had always thought the rich people just picked the party leaders. And actually, it's still that way because we're not involved, okay? So May 5th of next year or so, that primary date in Ohio, you will elect a precinct person. If you vote in the Democratic Party, you're electing them. If you vote in the Republican Party, you're electing them. And so a lot of times those races are decided 23-0, 43-29, 18-13. They sound like football and basketball and baseball scores because there's not that many people that vote for precinct in each. And it's the only one where you could go, if you're running, and greet every person that votes at the precinct when they come to vote, okay? So in your neighborhood precinct, it's about 5 or 10 streets around your house. All the people that vote at that center or whatever, where the polling place is, ours is at White Oak Senior Center, live in your precinct. You all vote at the same place, those who go to vote, okay? This is before mail-in ballots, of course, which we'll maybe touch on before the end of the call. So nobody knows that's happening to speak of. And then a month later, which nobody knows is happening, and this is where we're losing the country, On one night to Democrats, on another night to Republicans hold a county organizational meeting to elect the local county party leaders. So let's take the Republican Party. Those who were elected precinct, which in Hamilton County might be 700 people. There's 1,100 precincts in my county. It's a pretty, big cities have more than many counties. So 1,100 people, maybe 700 are elected because a third of them are vacant. They go down to Convention Center in Cincinnati or to a big hotel, and they elect the party leaders for the next 2 years. Now let's stick on the Republican Party. Those party leaders generally rule the party like a dictatorship. And I don't mean that as an insult, because most people to go home. And here they may run it wrong, as many of them are doing now, but they're left to run it. That's why we got to elect our people, constitutionalists, Bill of Rights people that don't want coercion, like forced vaccines or a restriction of travel, like you can't go in a restaurant because the Governor Mike DeWine thinks too many people have the sniffles at this point. So the point is that is why it's so important. And our leaders, now when I say our, I'm kind of a Ron Paul, Pat Buchanan. I supported Trump in many ways. I didn't support any of them in everything, but that's the kind where I'm coming from. You're welcome to this call wherever you're coming from. We wish every citizen knew how to exercise their power through the precinct system. So we're losing, but let's just take the conservatives, the constitutionalists, the movement I'm coming out of. Our leaders have failed us big time. NRA, 3 million members. Ron Paul campaign, 10 million members or more. A Right to Life all over the country, tens of millions of supporters. And they will not tell the people about the precinct. Write a letter to your congressman, great. Come to rallies and scream and go home. That has its place. Visit your congressman, great. But they will not tell. It's like they're treating us like children, our own leaders, like send in your donation and that's it. They treat us like we are not in the same level as a congressman or a party leader. We have to just beg them, please do something for us. Please do something for the Constitution. No. They should be telling us, you become the party, you become the congressman by going into the precinct system. Because, okay, so that's how it works. And nobody knows that meeting is happening by state law in Ohio a month after the primary. They got to hold it within 30 days. There they elect the party leaders for the next 2 years. Why do we care? The party leaders decide how the vote is counted, and the vote has been counted illegally in every county except for 5 counties in New Hampshire for the last 30 years. Mm-hmm. Illegal elections against 3 Supreme Court decisions, if anybody wants to ask a question about that, but we're going to stick on precinct here. But that's important. How the vote is counted. Look what they did in the last election. You had millions of votes of unknown origin, many of them no postmark, no signature, and all the courts that looked at it said, we're not going to hear these cases because they're all crooked. Okay, we got to replace the judges. And so not only do the precinct people elect the party leaders in each county who decide how the vote's counted, they endorse the candidates, right? They endorse the candidates. Mm-hmm. And those candidates, the endorsed candidate wins 95% of the time. So Democrat and Republican get past the primary, they go to the general election, that becomes the Congress. The county party leaders, like 88 counties in Ohio, elected by the neighborhood precinct people like us, who only have 10 in this precinct, 10 or 15 streets around our house. They elect the state party leaders, who then elect the national party leaders, who make all the rules for the national convention and the presidential primaries. So that's why we call the precinct position, the neighborhood precinct committeeman position, NPC for short, the most powerful office in the land. And I will send out an email to our list after this meeting with the links to Rick Herron's article. Rick Herron's a great guy who gave this speech in the 80s. It's called The Most Powerful Office in the Land. He did it to pro-lifers, but you could put in any issue. We have Dan Schultz's videos that will be up on NetworkAmerica.org soon in the video archive video section. And so will some of the ones that we made and that other people made. So you can get, and we can talk about this in the discussion, or you can just learn about it later. But trust me, this system is there. It's been there for 200 years. Abraham Lincoln referred to it in 1860. He said, make sure all of our precinct people get out and get the vote out, which is another reason to have a precincts of the people that believe like you, so they can contact or walk around the neighborhood maybe once or twice a year and tell people this is happening. Here's who's running. Here's who it's good to vote for. Person-to-person contact means a lot, you know. So that's what it is. Now, what Network America, we did these calls 10 and 13 years ago, okay? And we never had any follow-up. I was raising 6 kids through high school and college, and we just barely got the calls on. Dan Schultz was who's the Arizona attorney who got on Steve Bannon, and many of Dan Schultz's people that were on the last call came from that Steve Bannon appearance that Dan Schultz made a breakthrough and finally got on somebody with a big microphone about Precinct about a month or 6 weeks ago. So we want to help connect all the leaders. We need good leaders in every county. We were talking before the call that there's Keller, former state representative. I think it's Candace Keller. Forgive me if I forgot her name.
It's Candace.
It is Candace. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Candace Keller, and she's a leader and a former state rep. And there's Tom Brinkman's a state rep who's a good guy here. There's leaders all over the place. But if they're working the precinct, neighborhood precinct system, committeeman system now, we've got to have them talking to each other. And we also got to follow up with some training and some education for the people that want to do something. Most people need a little bit of help. And we didn't have anybody in NetworkAmerica.org, which is a website that our webmaster set up at Great Weeping and Gnashing of Teeth, and people would come in and there's no follow-up. So now we're going to have some follow-up, and we're going to have information, graphics, memes, the way people are learning. Michael Plumhoff, who I'm about to turn it over to, made the point that that's how people are learning these days. They're not reading books and long articles. They're learning by memes and infographics with a picture and a few words. And then they can go to the articles if they want more. So we'll put all these resources out as we after this meeting to the 450 or so emails that we have now. And if you want to get on our list, then you can go to networkamerica.org and sign up. It says on the right-hand side and at the top, you can sign up, and then you're automatically registered for the email list. Now, Michael has a passion to train people that want to be trained. He's planning to do smaller worker bee meetings or activist meetings. And Michael, are you ready to take over for a few minutes here?
Roger that.
Okay, so this is Michael Plumhoff, who is I give him credit because without him coming and having a vision of organizing, I wouldn't have done this. I tend to not want to do things if I think I'm just going to do it and it's going to fall flat and not go anywhere. But Michael came and he's got a vision for what needs to be done organizationally. And so we started and here we are. Michael, take it away.
Okay. Thank you, Jim. To the 24 people that are on the call, the national call, thank you for coming out. And to make sure you email, because we are trying to identify who's on the call from the list, okay? And getting the count is very important from week to week. Who is active, who's showing up. And then from the count, we can work on the topics at hand. So the topics at hand are the steps. And the first step of what Network America is trying to do is research. And in those research questions is, what precinct are you in? Precinct 21, Hampshire, West Virginia. So just meeting Jim about a month ago, he schooled me, showed me, and I did some querying and found out where everyone meets. So everyone goes through that research part. Okay, when do they meet? How many are in the red party, the blue party, Republican and Democrat? So you're doing your research work. This can be done anytime and needs to be done up front. This is the basic steps. Who are in place now? And I use the mob boss flowchart of the FBI, because here's the bottom line, folks, that the Constitution right has let us down, and they went with, or they just didn't fight hard enough, and it has to deal with public corruption. Okay. And this doesn't have anything to do with tribes. This has to do with Constitution. And so this group here are Constitution right. And that message and that passion needs to be projected, and make sure, as Jim is writing to Michelle Romney McDaniel, in calling out the GOP. Okay. And we're going to get into the state levels, the state chairs, and through open letters, we're going to see what they have to respond. So you're going to be part of this because of your actions with the swarm. And the swarm is like a jitsi meet and 4 people recording that they made contact and so forth. But I'll explain that as we get into the training. So the training is the Constitution right, really understand what the platform or the policy is and how that's being violated. Witness the vote count in person, in public. That is our mantra. So we are letting people know, no, it doesn't work like that. Corruption, fraud. We need to count the votes. Just like you count money, you count votes. So the till needs to be audited. And we're going to be using that A word a lot. And politicians don't like that A word, audit. So just understand we're going to be punching certain buttons to make people recognize and understand us. Now, how to approach. Again, we are threatening people's power. We are threatening people's control. We are threatening the old guard. So we have to approach them and, give up certain bits of information and then keep our cards close to our vest. So just understand that this takes training. Okay. How to deal with the old guard is a big important because they're going to feel threatened. All right. After the research, the training, the contact, what to ask, what to say, what to observe, and what to take away. This contact, as you came on this call, you're making contact with fellow constitutionalists. Okay. So you're learning how to extract information. Everyone is a foot soldier. Everyone is an intelligence officer. And that's the mindset in the direction we need to go. So there are very important things about contact that we need to adjust. Then after we find all this stuff out, precinct by precinct, campaign, how to run for NPC, the do's, the don'ts, best practices on demand printed material. So we are a campaign center, okay? And that's what Network America is. We're going to help you get the printed material or the digital material, so then you can just plug and play. Then outreach. Okay, if you don't run for NPC, you got and it's troubling. People are going to be harassing. This is the fight, folks. So you have camp staff or campaign staff. You have the candidate, the runner, and then you have outreach. Outreach doesn't have to agree or is a rah-rah cheerleader for the person that's running. Outreach is get out the vote. As we all know, the numbers, about 55.2 are non-voters. Sick of it all. I don't vote. I'm an anarchist, so I protest by not voting. The red has hurt people. The red has done wrong. Mitch and Jamie Coomer in Kentucky have hurt a Marine that I've been working with for a year. And it's this calling out and it's this documentation. And we're going to, again, be going after the state chairs, the national chair of the GOP to say the Constitution first, want the precinct. How dare you? And get with it, or we're gonna just go around you. This is some very important stuff, folks, because you're not seeing it on the mass media. You're not seeing it. We have to use the alternative podcast, and Jim is being booked on several podcasts and so forth. And then lastly is the reporting. how to keep task or in actions and results. This is what in the small cell groups, and it's based on state, what we're going to be working on and trying to get everybody in the states to take advantage of or to just be aware. So those are the steps, as I call it. But let me just say, what does the next 90 days look like? Okay, so we're in April, we're in second quarter. We got to run this like a business. Okay. Measurement management for results, and the tipping point from Malcolm Gladwell. I'm a salesperson and I'm a connector. Jim is a maven. Okay. So we have a video for people to outreach and associate. Right now, everybody is lost and alone and they're angry. So what Network America is about is association of like kind. We're trying to get a bunch of buyers together, the Dallas Buyers Club, for example. So we are buyers of the Constitution. We have energy and focus. And for the next 3 months, the Constitution carry states are 19 states that have the Constitution carry. And people are saying, why that? I live in Ohio, I live in Georgia, I live in Texas. That's great. Okay, we're not discounting you, but what we have seen 10 years ago, we've done this, we've done that, lack of concentrated effort. And that's not a disrespect, it's just an observation. So with that observation, we're asking people, give us 90 days to contact the New Hampshires, okay, which is a Constitution carry state, Vermont, Maine, and really start showing people that those people that believe in the Constitution are going to publicly count the vote. The big three computer companies, ESS, Dominion, and Hatcher Civil, no, that 1972 to 1988, it's a fraud, it's a scam, doesn't have a lick to do about race, has to do everything about power, control, and corruption. So, folks, in wrapping up, please understand, we have direction. We have infographics that are going to be explaining this. We're going to be working on short videos, and it's these types of calls once a week. The Sunday supper calls for the national, but it's then the small cell groups, just like 9/11, and people can have their thoughts. Was the CIA involved to cause all this? But the bottom line is a small cell group worked within the Boston airport, and the New York airport, etc. So we just have to get into a small cell and report up, but we are functional within our results, and our results are identify your precinct, identify who's in play now, put yourself in play coming up. Very simple stuff right there. And it's putting yourself in play, or to be in campaign, and to be voted and to be awarded that position. Think about this. Why do we have Joe Biden? Okay. It was because of the Democratic precincts would not push Bernie, Tulsa, or Yang in. And we would be in a different position if Tulsi was in, and so forth. It's the power and it's the money of who gives the nod and who votes in. And we're destroying that, and we're taking it down by being a voter and by representing a precinct. So we have to show people that the Constitution is alive, the Constitution is right and just, and that's how we're going to go ahead and work this. So I know people have a lot of questions, and we're looking forward to answering it here and as we move forward. But the work at hand is work, and this is not playtime. And we really are looking for people that are willing to put in the sweat equity to help the country stop going down the socialist road that it's going. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Michael. And let me just say one thing I forgot to say. We got 250,000 precincts apparently in the United States. At least that's the best I can come to an estimate. So we really, right now, if I could snap my fingers, we would have 250,000 people in each party running to oust who's in there. Even the Democrats, who I generally agree with, who I generally disagree with on just about everything, I'd rather have normal people than party hacks in those positions. A lot of people are going to wake up when they see that the voting's not transparent. The issue of money by the Fed is not transparent. So the goal of Network America is to help connect people so that we get, let's say in the Republican Party, because I think that's where most of the people have come from in this call, but I think we want to get 250,000 people to running and oust them in every county if they don't do their job. I'm for most of us who can do it coming and saying, we're here because we're either going to help you do your job or we're going to put somebody in your place that is going to do your job. Now, some people want to remain under the radar. That's okay. But most of us, I hope, will just tell them that. We don't have anything to hide, you know? And so that's what we want to accomplish. And that's what Network America is here to do. In Network America, if people want to sign up, we're not asking them to stop doing their group, join our group. No, everyone can talk to everyone freely in Network America. There was a big thing that Nikki Nelson and she built it with much weeping and gnashing of teeth a few years ago. And I said, we got to let everybody talk to each other. All these groups, I don't care, even the groups I really like, they will not let the people talk to each other. It's like everybody's holding mailing lists, and we're going to let everybody talk to everybody else. If somebody's abusive or they put up, we'll kick them out for the usual things, threatening people, other tricks they've used to try to get people shut down. Then we'll just kick them out. But generally, we're not going to kick anybody out, and everybody can talk to everybody. It's too late. We got to quickly mushroom. And I'll say something else, and we're going to have everyone be able to comment, but we have Diane from this area who she said she was coming on, and I'll let her give any thoughts that she has next. Then we'll open it up, if we can. I hope we can open up for everybody to say what they want to say or ask a question. That's what we want to have happen, is the momentum to get that happening. I'm going to say this, and I don't know if I offend everybody, or I hope nobody, but we've got almost all the strategy things we need here. I'm 68 years old, don't feel a day over 88. I do not feel like, and couldn't lead this whole thing, nor can anybody else. We got to connect the people, okay? And I don't need any money at this point in my life. I did, when we were struggling, you could hardly do the calls 13 years ago. I had Social Security. I have an income from a business I started 22 years ago that got going. I don't need it. But if I was talking right now, and I know some of these people, and they're good people, but they don't have the vision. They don't have what Daddy Bush called the vision thing. Some of these people are worth $10 million to $300 million. You know what I would say? And I'll say without any shame, because your money's not going to be worth anything if these socialists behind really both parties, but they're more out in the open in the Democratic Party, if they take over, your money's not going to be worth anything eventually. I'd say to somebody that even who's inherited or was a great businessman and made 10 million bucks, give 5% of your income or 2% of it, whatever it is, so that not 98%, 2% of your income, so that we can hire a few people like Dan Schultz, the attorney in Arizona, Michael Plumhoff, who you're looking at, and several other people. So for 2 years, we can get the momentum and get all the people running. So we're on the playing field. We're running for precinct, or we're supporting someone in our precinct if there's more than one of us who's a good constitutional Bill of Rights person. And we go to these meetings. Now, even if you don't get elected, you can go to the county meeting every 2 years, or generally, with the Republican and Democratic Party, and if the Libertarians have one, or Constitution Party. But let's just stick on the Democrat and Republicans. Why wind up here? Because they run every county, every state. They run everything. So even if we're not elected, you can go to these almost secret county party meetings that everybody should know about and pass out literature or talk to them and say, we're not happy with the way the votes are counted. We're not happy with, the fact that they're breathing down our neck to have a passport if we don't have the latest COVID standards met. So anyway, we're here to try to connect and have a forum and list who the leaders are in each county, so that we can start to coordinate the nationwide forum that already exists. I think this already exists. and people all over the country know about this, and they're trying to do it. But we got to be talking to each other like the major party rhinos and the Republican Party and Democrats are. So Diane, do you have any thoughts at this point before we open up for general discussion?
Sure.
Okay.
Actually, I'd like to tell everybody that you can get a list of central committee.
Your audio is not coming over good,
Oops.
Diane.
No. Okay. I don't know if I can do anything about that. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
No. Okay. What you can do is
we can hear you now.
Okay. You can contact the Board of Elections in your county and ask them for a list of your central committee members. What I have found here in Butler County is that we have liberals running our Board of Elections. And actually, every single one of them are central committee members, which I think is very interesting. Also, what I did find out here in Butler County, and you can check your own counties, is that we had somebody named, they gave out grants for machines, and by our ORC, that is against the law. They're not allowed to do that. So if you can go to the Center for Election Integrity, actually an innovation, election innovation, and they have to do with the Smartmatic, and his name is David Becker. And David Becker is the one that gave the grants from Zuckerberg. And it went to all the counties in Ohio. And I know for a fact, because I have the minutes from Butler County. So what you can do is you can find out in regards to look up the minutes to the meetings. Those are readily available. They're public record. And go to your county, your trustees, your trustees, your city councils. We need to be a voice. We need to let them know that we are here. We are not going to go away. And the more people we get to do this and to stand up, because you know what, guys, we don't have anything to lose, nothing except our freedom. So if we don't stand up, we're going to lose it. So even if you're scared to death to talk in public, do it. You get a little nervous the first time. Each time you do it, it gets easier. But look up your county information. Find out all the information that you can. Gather it together and then share it with like-minded. That's basically all I had to say, Jim. Now I can't hear.
Jim, you're mute. I'm sorry, Jim, you're mute.
I muted so I wouldn't interrupt. I'm sorry. I just wanted to say thank you, Diane. And rather than me repeat what I just said, let's just go and see if anybody that wants to. How are people going to tell you that they want to talk to you so you can unmute them? And if we only have 24 people in, I don't know what we have in. Last time we unmuted everybody and everybody was polite and everything. So maybe we want to do that. Or do you want to let them? How would they let you know they want to talk?
Well, like I said, in the chat room, I'm watching the chat room. Just please put number 1, just number 1.
And hit enter.
I know the order, who was first and who is who.
Okay, let's do that for now. By the way, Dr. Q, some of you came in after I explained this. Q Markianis, he was kicked out of Iran 2 or 2.5 decades ago for lobbying there for freedom of assembly and freedom of speech. He was poisoned. They came to him in his hospital room and said, when he was paralyzed, said, "We poisoned you, you're going to die." Somehow he survived. He came to America in 1999, I believe, became a citizen in 2006. And I wish that so many of our Americans who are apathetic had half the love of freedom that Dr. Q does. We call him Dr. Q, easy to remember. He's coordinating the call. You heard from Michael Plumhoff, and you now heard from Diane in near me in Ohio. But somebody else want to talk, Q?
Yes, I can see that. Some people are saying like put in 2, 3. Just number 1 should be all right. Number 1 means I need to talk. I can see Texas Patriot Leisha was the first person.
Okay.
Number 1, and then after her is David, and
Good.
then obviously so on and so forth. Yes.
Okay. So was it Lisa?
No, the number one is Texas Patriot, Leisha.
Oh, Alicia, can you talk?
I don't. Hold on a sec. Let me find her.
All she has to do is click down at the bottom right left-hand
Yes.
corner and unmute herself.
Yeah.
She's on mute.
Okay. Well then, Alicia, you can, if you look at the bottom of your screen, you got to kind of hover I think you got to hover your cursor over it, and then you'll see a chance to mute and unmute yourself. But I thought you could unmute her, Q.
No, she's on mute.
Well, can you unmute her?
Or he can mute everybody.
She has to do it herself.
Oh, that's not a good system, I don't think.
No, well.
All right, who's the next person? Well, we know she'll come back. Who's the next questions?
David, go ahead.
David here.
Thank you, David.
How y'all doing? I'm from Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And I did have a conversation with Dan Schultz. I've had a couple calls with him.
Good.
And I just want to give you a quick synapse of what happened to me here, because a lot of these precinct committees, they are not welcoming to new people that want to make a change. I went, full of piss and vinegar, wanting to help. I found out about it. Went to a couple meetings, was invited to the executive meeting to present. My background is I built e-commerce businesses and sold it, and I have a lot of tech background. And I presented a plan to the committee at the executive committee. And after I did that,
Her milestone.
what's that? Oh, sorry. Anyways, so after the executive meeting, the chairman, I talked to him the next day and said, hey, I can help you with the website. I can help you with the structure, the functioning. We only have 66 members out of 432 available positions in our county. And that next day, he told me that I wasn't going to do anything. They had an emergency executive meeting. They voted me out of the organization before I was even in the organization. And we're still in this massive fight trying to get me in, because I do have some regional committee members that are standing up and they're fighting hard because they see the value in some propositions that people can bring in. And we even have our local Patriot Party. They have 1,800 local members, 600 come to a monthly meeting every month here in Pennsylvania. It's a great organization, and I've been helping them. And they're also taking on the responsibility too, to try to fix this. So what I want to just, with that information, I just want to caution everyone. If you go in there showing that you're all amped up, ready for change, you might get blacklisted really quick. So you got to kind of go in covertly, get in the position, get elected, then you can start making change. Because I didn't realize that. I'm not a political guy, never was. I've owned multiple businesses. I look at things logically, and these people, there's a lot of good people, but there's the people that are in power. They don't want to relinquish power. They don't want to give up anything. They see you as a threat. They don't want change, and they like the system the way it is. So I just wanted to voice that, because, I don't want someone to run into this problem that I did, because I have a ton of resources and I'm pushing at every angle to get through this, but most people would just give up and just say, I'm done with it.
Right. David, is it David?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's go back and forth just a minute, because thank you for bringing up that point. I tried to keep my thing to 12 minutes. Let me just comment on what you said, because it's so true. And even if in most of these counties, even if they act like they want you at first, when they see enough people starting to come in that they don't control, like as county employees, as Diane was saying, a lot of them are county employees who are now in the precincts, where our side isn't even aware there's a system. But sometimes, like you must have said something, that they vote you out. So these people, I say, I don't need to know anything else about them, they need to be replaced. Are the six, and Dan Schultz said 13 years ago when we did the first round of these calls, we quit doing them for about 8 years till now, because we didn't think we get the people to follow up, and it was just people, nothing was happening. But Dan says, and I steal it from him all the time, if you're not involved in the precinct system, you're not involved in politics. And especially with the vote, the way it's being processed, your vote doesn't count unless you're in part of New Hampshire, unless one of these three big companies want it to count, because three companies, Dominion broke through finally. We've been talking about them and their predecessors since 1988. Three companies, Dominion, Hart, which we use in Cincinnati, and ES&S, Election System and Software, they run the secret vote count for 96% of the counties, 99% of the votes. So you're not in politics at all, because if they don't want your vote to count, it doesn't count on the computer. But let me ask you this, that group that has 600 people meeting a month or whatever it was, the Patriot,
Yes.
or is anybody pushing all of them to run for precinct so that people like you aren't isolated when you try to do something?
Well, we're working on that, because we're trying to strategically do this, because after seeing what happened to me, we don't want to push over 50 people and then we all get turned away.
Okay, let me comment on that, and everybody has to do what they want to do.
Mhm.
But I believe we should come in respectfully, but say, look, we're here to help you do your job. And some people should say this, and if you don't do it, eventually we're going to have to replace you, because we need to preserve freedom in the United States. And then others come in covertly. But when let's say we don't want to wait 10 years for these 600 people to know where the system is. When they see 30 people come in from nowhere that they didn't recruit, they know they got a potential hostile takeover. So there's no way to really fool them for very long. We found that when we tried to do this in 1988, and they did not want to say, okay, well, we'd like to have more workers in. What are you guys, what are your beliefs? They didn't do that. It was like we were coming to steal their lunch. Later on, I'm thinking we were all on issues, but I thought, is there something wrong with the books that they didn't want us to see? That's how vicious they were to us in 1988, 1999. But what you said has got to be told to every person. Don't give up, because you may run into some, and this is why we need to change the system. You got the boss hog problem, I call it, like in the Dukes of Hazzard. Boss hog, he wasn't any big conspiracy. He just wanted to keep power. We got that problem. But we also have the national program, and I would recommend it. I'll send out in the email after this call, The Secret of Oz by Bill Still, like The Wizard of Oz. It's about the Wizard of Oz, which was written about a struggle between the farmers and the bankers. I didn't know that till I saw his video. The Secret of Oz by Bill Still. And he goes into the Fed Reserve Board and all the Morgans and the Rockefellers and all this type of stuff. And I think it's a very good thing on what is happening. But we're also fighting that problem at the national level, because you see Bobby Kennedy Jr., for heaven's sakes, is barred from every major TV and radio station in the United States, because he's just saying, be careful about the vaccine. He's not even saying don't take it. He's saying they won't let him on. So we're fighting also an organized, as Sean Hannity and Trump called it, deep state. I like the term shadow government better, but now that's kind of out in the open. But anyway, what David said, and David, you finish up here, but what you said is, I should have said it, it's absolutely critical for people to know. They're not glad a lot of times to see you, especially when you're obviously a businessman, tech guy like yourself. Someone's got their act together. By the way, if you're willing to talk to Michael Plumhoff and maybe you can help us a little with some of the tech stuff we're trying to do. Not that I'm trying to give you another job, but we can use volunteer.
I'd be glad to help.
We can use volunteer brains. And so I may say something before this call is over. You might say, I don't like that guy. I don't like his voice. I don't like his attitude. Look, it's not about that. We need to network all of the leaders, and we're going to disagree on some things, but we got to do that, or we're not going to have a nationwide thing going on to really try to change the Congress, change the way we're voting, and take back our country. So David, finish up anything else you wanted to say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not giving up. I'm persevering through this. And I have opportunity to go on some national radio shows to tell people about this, but we've strategically are holding off right now so I can find a solution first, because I don't want to disappoint everybody and be like, oh, here's what happens, and that's it. You just got to give up. So over the next month or two here, we're strategically trying to figure out a new system to make this work and work around it, or maybe they'll vote this guy out. We don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to keep pushing forward.
Could you get like 4 or 5 of the leaders together with you and do a conference call, like a phone call with with Dan Schultz or something like that? Or do all the leaders already understand that this is the way to go, where you can actually become the party and become the
Yeah. So with the county chair, you have the county chair here in our region, and then you have 5 regions.
Yeah.
Well, only one region chairman is on my side. The major chairman has everybody against. I can't even go to my region. I'm not even allowed in the building. and I've never done anything. They won't even give a reason. Right. So we're just working around it, and I'm not going to give up, but I have a lot of resources, a lot of free time. I'm semi-retired now. So we're going to keep pushing this and working with the Patriots Party. They're also aligning with me too now, and they have influence in the GOP as well, because they're such a large organization and they let them come there and speak. So they hold a lot of power because of how many people come to the events.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, I didn't mention it, but Warren County, the Tea Party people took over that county for a while here. The Ron Paul people took over Boone County right across the river in Kentucky. So it's happened, but you got to have the mass of people to come in and do that. And then they got to know what they're going to do once they get in, which unfortunately neither group there did. Okay. We got another person to comment, Q?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's kind of echoing. What kind of a mic are you talking into?
Okay, is that better?
Yes, that's better. So
okay, I had to call from my phone.
Okay.
Because my computer mic apparently is not working, so now I'm on my phone. This is Texas Patriot Leisha. So I need some help here. If anybody is familiar with Texas, I have been beating the drum to try to figure out how to become a precinct chair committeeman here in Texas. I've joined a Republican club. I've gone to meetings. I've talked to the county chair twice. He has no idea what I'm talking about. When you Google it, you can't even get a Google thing to come up to tell you anything about a committee person or committee chair in Texas. What the precinct chair did tell me at the last meeting was that they don't have, they have a committee man and a committee woman per Senate precinct, and all of them are full. I don't know where to find that information. I have really done a lot of research. I mean, I found you guys, and I'm hitting a brick wall.
Okay, first of all, we don't care if they're full. I'm giving you my attitude, and I'm not saying some people shouldn't go in under the radar.
Right.
You can run against, and you should run against those people.
Right.
We can go into that. We can talk by phone. I don't know if you wanted to, or if you can email your phone number to. We'll keep everything obviously off the public record and confidential, and maybe Michael Plumhoff or myself or Dan Schultz. But that's one of the things we want to get on Network America. If it is anywhere, I don't know it. And that says the rules for every state, which should be in the state law. Dan Schultz, the attorney from Arizona, and Michael have talked about getting some law interns to go into each state. This is usually in the state law, but they don't want you to know it. But again, I personally couldn't care less if everything's filled. We need to get freedom-loving people who are not beholden to the rhinos in the party, in the Republican Party now, or in the Democrats for that matter. People that are free, not have jobs at the county.
It's Dan Schultz.
Hey, Dan, how you doing?
Leisha, go to my blog, precinctstrategy.com. I have a link directly to some hidden materials that are on the Texas Republican.
I've gone through the videos you have linked.
Go to my blog, precinctstrategy.com. There is a link to resources that is now hidden on the Texas State Committee's website, but the link still works. Go to that link, and there's really great materials there. For example, there's a county committee chairman's handbook you can download. There's a precinct delegate handbook you can download. The state bylaws are there. You've got to go get your county bylaws and read them. You've got to read these handbooks. The material's there at my site.
Okay.
Now, Dan, if she sends us our phone number and she needs more follow-up, then feel free to do that, Leisha. Dan, let me just ask you to tell something, if you would. Dan, by the way, has been at this We met both promoting this in 2007. He's consistent. He's tried to get every big name you can think of with a big mic to tell people about Precinct. And he finally broke through to the Steve Bannon show and started something going. But Dan, would you, just so people can see why it's important that we quickly tell other people in whatever forum we're on, build this up and get in touch with each other. Tell them about the 23,000 person call that you wanted to speak for 5 minutes. Would you just tell them about that so everyone can see how desperate it is that we spread the word, because these leaders are constantly not telling people how to become the party and become the government. Go ahead, Dan.
Well, I'm not sure I know what you're talking about, but regardless.
The big call in Florida that you said, go ahead. Yeah, the big call that you said that they mentioned everything but Precinct over a 2-hour span.
Oh, well, I know which one. You're talking about the Cloud Hub meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So look, here's the bottom line. Virtually every 501c and 501(c)(4), C3 or C4, and every PAC, what do they want from you? All they want is your money. They don't ask you to do anything. And same thing with the party. Like I said on Bannon's program this last week, stop being a donor and become an owner. Own the party. The way to own the party is to populate it with your warm body and find every other conservative that you know, every single one. If they're pro-life, if they're pro-Second Amendment, go find them where you live. I don't know how you're going to find them. I don't live where you live, but I found them where I live. I became a precinct committeeman. I came up with a postcard strategy. I sent postcards to the Republicans who always vote in the primary and the general. And I targeted them in 2019 because I had to fill up some vacancies. And my postcard basically said this: hey, if you become a precinct committeeman, guess what you'll be able to do? You'll be able to go to the caucus meeting in March of 2020, and you can vote for yourself to become a delegate to the state convention. And what do you do at the state convention? You help elect more Trump delegates. Because, Trump victory here was a misnomer. They were sabotaging Trump, the RNC and the AZ GOP. And a lot of people knew it. And I told everybody that they were doing it that would listen to me. And I told these people, you want to become a ball player in the real ball game of politics, you can go there and you can elect the delegates. And then you also get to elect the national committeeman and the national committee woman. Okay. My kids have done this. They're turning, my boys, 2 boys are turning 21 this month. My daughter is turning 23 in the summer. They've done it 2 election cycles now. They're precinct committeemen, they're state committeemen, and they've been delegates to the state convention. If these kids can do it, why can't the rest of us do it? Go find conservatives, however you can, wherever you live, in whatever groups you are. If you're in a fishing club, I know which ones are the conservatives. Convince them to become precinct committeemen. Send them to my blog, precinctstrategy.com. Look, how long has it taken me to explain this strategy? 3-4 minutes. That's all. It's participation. I learned this in 7th grade civics. This is what they teach, or they used to teach, 7th graders. 7th grade stuff. Okay. This isn't rocket science. And if the party is putting up roadblocks, it's all about numbers. And when you, like somebody said at the beginning, I think it was Dave Vollmer, comes in with piss and vinegar. Don't do that. Go in. Tell them, I want to volunteer. Why do I want to volunteer? Because I'm a good Republican. I want to register as many people as I can to become Republicans, to grow the party. And then I want to get all those Republicans to vote for the best Republicans in our elections. I want to elect more Republicans. That's it. Don't say anything else. Don't wear a Trump hat. Don't wear a Trump shirt. If you come in like that, how in the hell could they turn you away? You just said, I'm a good Republican. I want to recruit more people to become Republicans, and I want to elect more people, more Republicans to public office. How can they turn you away? They can't. unless they're diabolical, which many of them are. And so that's the message. I've said it every which way I can, as short as possible and with more, in depth. Usually when I'm on Bannon's program, I get 3 or 4 minutes. People are telling me, well, Dan, you need to explain this. Well, Dan, you need to explain that. Yeah, sure, I need to explain it. I've explained it all on my site, and it's all in my book. Go there, buy the book, buy it for your friends, if you choose to, or just read what's there on my blog.
What's the book, Dan? What's the book?
How to Get Into the Real Ball Game of Politics Where You Live to Help President Donald J. Trump Make America Great Again. Yeah, somebody's holding it up. Look, this is not rocket science. I boiled this down so that it takes about 20 minutes to read this, and then I've got links in here to more information. There's a copy of the Constitution. There's a copy of the Declaration of Independence, both of which we have to read and read and reread over and over and over again. I've got a link to where you can get this Citizens Rule book. Witten Printers here in Phoenix. Buy them in bulk. Give them to your kids, your grandkids. Carry one in your pocket like I do constantly, and read it. It makes real good bathroom reading too, the Constitution and the Declaration. Okay, read them, memorize them over and over and over. We got to know what we're for, right? In order to advocate what you're for, you got to know what you're for. I'm for the Constitution and the Declaration and the principles in it. And this little Citizens Rule book also has really good quotes from the founders and how to conduct yourself if you ever get called for jury service on a criminal trial. You're then the most powerful person in the world with respect to that criminal defendant. So that's about all I have to say.
Dan, thank you. And let's Q, do we got somebody else ready to go?
Chris is next. Chrissy, you're next.
Good evening. I'm just glad to be here.
Hey.
I'm wondering, I just found the Precinct Projects blog, and I'm seeing that there is information on there for Ohio. But what I'm trying to find is when the Central Committee meets and how you find out who your ward chairs are, because when I have the list of all the different precincts, I managed to get that from our Board of Elections. It doesn't say who the chair wards are and stuff like that. I'm just wondering how you would find that out for, say, is it different from county to county? Because Hamilton County, like David, and I have kind of gone in very vague, like saying, hey, I'm wanting to know more about how things work. I just want to get more involved after the last election cycle. I want to be, a productive Republican. Can somebody show me how to do this? And because I am a woman, they're all like, hey, you could be the next candidate because Republican women are, really going gangbusters right now. And that seems to be a big thing that they're looking for. But I can't get direct information because they're trying to keep the Central Committee information as hidden as possible. So how do I go about finding that information out?
Yeah, so you mean you've talked to Mr. Tranafilo, who's the head of the Republican Party, I think, and they won't tell you who your ward chairman is?
I actually
You
have a
follow
meeting set up in 2 weeks.
With him. So I think he'll tell you. I think you may have to go to Republican headquarters. But if he doesn't, then again, we want to know about it because we'll start to put feelers out. I want people to do what Dan said and read the Constitution, all that. But if they right now just say, I don't want Forks vaccines, I want to run for precinct, it's as simple as coming up in February of next year in Ohio, 2022. Around then, they make available a petition. You get for $2 or online, I think now you can see the walking list in your precinct by address, who's a Republican, who's an independent. If you're running in the Republican Party, you get 5 valid signatures, okay?
Jim, before you continue, where are those walking lists at?
Okay, you can buy yours for $2 down at the Board of Elections, which is now in Norwood. It's a much nicer parking situation than when it was downtown for 50 years.
I know where the BOE is. I actually worked the polls this year.
Sell you a $2 your precinct, or it's online. Okay. And I got to put up somewhere how to find it online, but it's online and you can print it out yourself. Okay. Now,
Okay.
so you're going to get 5 valid signatures of independents or Republicans, or you register new people and you clip it to your petition. You know, those are valid.
Mhm.
And then you turn it in, and if you're in a contest, then you run next year, and we're going to be there are local meetings. Candace, I hope I got it written. The former state rep Keller, I was at one with 500 people up at the church they used to call Touchdown Jesus, where they had
There's going to be another one of those meetings on May 22nd at Solid Rock again.
Okay.
And
Solid
the
Rock,
last
that's
one
it.
had over 1,000 people there,
Okay.
and they expect more turnout, even more so this time.
Okay.
Okay, so my next question is,
Yeah.
with that being said, those are available on the Board of Elections.
At the Board of Elections. And then you would be on the ballot. I just wanted to say this. And then in May, if you're unopposed, you vote for yourself. If you're opposed, you can do some campaigning and tell people why you're running. No hard feelings, but you have your own beliefs. And I hope we got 1,000 people doing that by the time it comes around. And then if you get elected, you go down to convention center or wherever they have the meeting. Hopefully we'll have our own candidate, like maybe Tom Brinkman, the state rep, or somebody, and put in our own people, or at least we'll be there and have a presence. So does that make clear what you have to do? And again, if you want to send to info@networkamerica.org, your phone number or whatever, or maybe you know some of the people on this call, we're going to have, I plan to have some smaller meetings to bat around with people like yourself and people that are trying to do this, have smaller meetings to make sure we all got clear what we're going to do and what your options are.
Jim?
Yeah.
Everybody on the call, this is the research part of the steps. So Leisha, Chrissy, work with us, and we're going
Okay.
to be your backup. We're not the highbrow, go there, go. No, it's, I went here. Did you go there? This is all about teamwork. Okay.
Yeah. So what I was trying to figure out is I'm wanting to put a simple infographic together for that meeting that's coming up for Hamilton County, to where I can have those steps put together with links on
And
them.
That's why
so
we're on
that-
the call. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. To
Okay.
where we can
So
have that available.
everybody understand that this is the think tank. This is the Cato, the Pew, the RAND. This is our version of it. They can't take that away from us. So we're going to be developing the think tank material, county by county, parish, borough, etc. But then, it's multiply. We got to make fisher of men, and we're going to be able to teach other people and so forth. Okay.
Chrissy, if you are willing to bring a few things, what did you call it? The picture graphic or whatever you called it into existence, and you got a little bit of time, we would be grateful for artistic help on that, because Michael and I know what we need to make, but it doesn't always look good when the things that I've prepared anyway. So again,
Right. I'm capable of doing that, because like David
if
says,
you're willing to put in a little time over the next whatever, I would really appreciate it if you got in touch with us by email or maybe give us your phone number. But info at networkamerica.org. My phone number is 513, if you want to take it down, 513. I'll send this out in the email too, 513-602-0627. It's not the best phone number because people get the 6 and the 2 make 513-602-0627.
Gotcha.
Again, I may occasionally push for something I believe in, like how important it is we get the votes counted before they leave the public site. See, it's not just paper ballots. It's counting them before they leave the public site. So you'll hear me advocate on things like that. But I really am not here to do anything else essentially other than make sure every citizen understands how they make their power felt in the precinct system. And that's, of course, what Dan Schultz has been all about as well for decades. So, okay. Thank you, Chrissy. We were about at an hour, but we're going to keep going. If you want to drop off, it's fine. Please, next week, we're going to probably break into worker bee calls versus new people, but try to tell people for next week, because it's just like now we're doing some great networking with people, but we'll keep going and I'll stay on as long as people want to stay. But Go ahead. I think we cut off at 2 hours last week, but Q, who else we got that have something
We
to
have
say?
Boston Tommy next.
Ah,
Okay,
I know
like,
Boston
I'm
Tommy. I
going
know his
through
name.
a series of emotions right now. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Hey, Boston Tommy, good to see you. I've right. Your name's memorable. I remember your emails coming in. Yeah.
Listen, that's why I keep this name. I'm from Boston, but I live in Boise, Idaho.
Okay.
Everybody here knows me as Boston Tommy. I've been here for 20 years. So I just wanted to say hello to everybody. Listen, Dan Schultz, hey, I got my pocket of the Constitution right here, brother. And I did catch you on War Room. Fantastic, that show. A lot of information. And John, I appreciate what you and Michael are doing. I'm really getting a lot of information. But I got to tell you, some ways after David spoke and then Alicia, I feel like I got to be a spy here to get what is actually my right, to be able to vote legitimately under our Constitution. And I love our country. I love the Constitution. I'm more of a scorched earth kind of guy. I'm not fearful, I tell a little story. The other day I was at the bank. I got my mask on because they make you wear it. I got to do big. And I got my 9mm strapped on the side because we're a constitutional carry state. And nobody thought anything was unusual. And I thought to myself, well, that's great that they're not fearful that I have the right to carry a gun. But what's scary is they think wearing a mask is normal. So I am very fearful, and I'm also very angry at what's going on. My mind is blown by some of the stuff you've told us, Jim, about the way that voting is conducted and how out of control these people are. I think they've had enough time, and I'm ready to get fired up and take it back.
Okay, Tommy, I want to comment on this if you don't mind. And then if Dan Schultz wants to come back in, because most people, what Dan Schultz said is probably the way to go. You just go show up. Hey, I want to be a better party member. And again, I despise, this is me, I despise Obama and Clinton, okay? But the Democratic Party, I'm for the normal people getting into that too, because why should the Democratic Party be communist the rest of our life, now? But let me say, I'm with my approach, I for what I did in Cincinnati, I can't hide, So I'm for a number of us coming in, not having to be a spy and saying, look, you might not want us to run. We're running, okay? We are here to help you do your job or replace you because, for one, our country is totally lost if we don't get the vote counted before the paper ballots leave the public site. Since Adam and Eve, every criminal has wanted to take the votes in the back room and count them, and they succeeded with the generation above me. I'm now 68, as I say, don't feel a day over 88, but the generation when I was 26 were mesmerized by computers, Tommy. It was like magic. And I was saying, no. And other few other people saying, no. They're counting them in secret on secret computer programs. And the Board of Elections signs, we will not look at the secret computer program. When I do a radio show, which is rare on AM, but I do internet shows, I always say, I don't blame you if you don't believe anything I'm saying. It sounds like I'm making it up, but I'm not. This is how bad it's been. Both the National Republican Party and the National Democratic Party, all 50 governors, all 50 attorney generals, they all are guilty of running illegal elections. I'm not exaggerating. We got on watchthevoteusa.com, the 3 Supreme Court decisions that say you have 2 rights. Your right to vote is 2 parts. One, a right to cast a ballot. We still have. The other is to know your vote is counted accurately and not diluted. All 3 Supreme, and that some of it was in regard to civil rights. So if they come up with 2 million votes like last election that we don't know where they came from, that's diluting our vote that voted legally. So back to your point, I'm for some of us coming in, and believe me, you could not stop Diane, who was the first speaker on this call. You could not make her, I don't think, Diane, come in quietly. So some of us are going to say, we are here because you're not doing right and being what you're saying. We're in their face. They don't like us. Other people can pretend like they don't like us in the meeting till we get a majority. But so some of us are going to do that. But again, Dan, do you want to comment on that? Because I think for many, many people, what you said is the way to go.
Yeah, I'll comment on it. It's all about numbers. Politics is a game of numbers. This is one of the graphics I use on Bannon's program. That's what it needs to look like. Every month, at your local committee meeting, whatever that is, county meeting, district committee, assembly district committee meeting, you need to have a line of people out the door. That's what needs to happen. Fog City Mid, she called me after her appearance on Bannon's War Room after she got sworn in. I had to kind of talk her off the cliff. She was already ready to give up. Well, nothing's going to change unless, because they are anti-Trump. I said to her, go back next. They meet now every other month. You got 2 months. Go get 400 or 500 more people to come in like you did with your 40 people. Well, they had 40, but only 32 could show up. And they demoted 18 because they weren't coming to the meetings. Go with hundreds next time. And then explain to them, I'm here because I'm a good Republican. I want to recruit more people to become registered Republicans, and I want to elect. Don't say anything about Trump. Just go in there and say, I want to help. I want to help. How can they turn you away? They can't. And then a friend of mine, a new cohort, created this. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it's I took the Mao, one of the commie recruitment posters that they created with Mao's little red book. You guys know what the little red book was? That was when they did the Cultural Revolution and they took over China, and everybody, there's pictures of all these people, all this little red book we need to get Trump. We need to get Trump. He's got a PC button on, if you can see it there, right? This guy created this for me. And they're all holding up my book saying, if we get enough people into our party, you know what we can do? We can pressure the RNC to elect Donald Trump as our party chairman. The RNC rules, the rules of the Republican Party, state that the chairman can be anybody. Doesn't even have to be a Republican. If we can fill up all of these slots. Look, we're already at 50% now here in Maricopa County. We've got 2 counties in Arizona that are at 100% strength, and it's all conservatives. We fill up, if we over the next 5-6 months significantly increase turnout at these meetings and volunteer to fill all these vacancies, then you know what we can start doing? We can start pressuring our state chair, who's on the RNC, our national committeeman on the RNC, our national committeeman on the RNC, that we are drafting Donald Trump to be the next RNC chairman at the next January meeting of the RNC, January of next year. We want you to convene, and we want you to, we're drafting Donald Trump to be our party chairman. Why can't we do that? We can do it.
Awesome.
And we can make it happen if we have the numbers. Oh, by the way, Boston Tommy. I had a sergeant when I was in the Army down at Fort Huachuca, from Sergeant Burby. He was from Boston. What's a turlet?
You know what a toilet is. We all know.
Thanks for that. That's all I got to say. Thanks.
Okay, Dan, let's have the next person. But Tommy, some of us are going to be talking loudly because we want people to. The main problem we have is 3 million people in the NRA, 20 million people in Right to Life don't know that the precinct system exists, and they don't know about those county meetings every 2 or 4 years where you elect the party. That to me is the main problem. If everybody knew that, then we would go to the next step. But let's just say this. You put 400 people in any of those meetings, I don't care what they're saying or if they're being silent. Dan's right. By the time it gets to those numbers, the few boss hogs there that are trying to keep out of their power, they got a problem. Okay, Q, who's the next person?
Can I make a comment there, Jim, real quick?
Please.
All right. To Dan, April, Arizona, lack of concentrated effort. If we go after the Constitution carries states first, as Boston Tommy, expressed, he doesn't have that right in mass. Okay, he would not have that right in Mass, but he does have it in Iowa. Okay, and we're not giving up on Texas and Georgia. You're not alone in Ohio. Okay, but the lack of concentrated effort, people want to see results. And with the 2 counties that Dan talks about at 100%, if we push and outreach and again, Ronna McDaniel, Dan said it best. We want to draft Trump. We need to remove the head of the snake. Okay. And Ronna McDaniel has not done anything for the RNC. It's back deals, it's money puddling, it's corruption. So we just need to focus on those people who take the Constitution more seriously and are out there to go out and take action. We get 19 states, and as we know, we got the 50 states here. So we're going to be pushing the envelope, and that's the concentrated effort. So I can't keep on bringing this up enough. Arizona is a Constitution carry state. We at Network America are going to be pushing to get those numbers up and show people that the concentrated effort works. So just understand that if we just keep on pushing the Constitution and get the FFL owners and let people know that is the network, the NRA, the Gun Owners of America, Black Lives Matter. Maj Toure is a libertarian. I stumped for him in Philly, okay? But I know what works in Philly isn't going to be working in the Constitution carry states. But we took that action and we're moving it around. So just let people know that we will have the infographics, but you got to get participation. And that is like a big infographic that we need to push, okay? And get the numbers up. This is a contact sport. It's Coca-Cola numbers. It's marketing, okay? We got to market better. So just let everybody think on that. Thank you.
Okay, Michael, who's next, Q?
Yes, it's Rebecca's laptop. But before that, I implore you to subscribe to Network America's YouTube, because that way we can be searchable. Number one. Number two, this program is going to be recorded. Then you can watch it later on also.
Or maybe people here don't need to watch it again, but they can tell others who in their own time frame can watch it. Okay, who do we got next?
That's Rebecca's laptop. Are you there? Hello?
Who is it? What's the name?
Rebecca.
Rebecca, you might have to unmute yourself. Hover over. Go ahead.
Hi, how are you?
Hey,
Thank you for inviting me to the group. I'm also in Hamilton County.
Okay.
Very interested, have already connected with some of the people through chat. I know someone was asking, is the chat visible on YouTube?
I don't think so. It's visible here on Zoom. I don't, is there
No,
a chat?
I don't think so. No, because I can see it now, and it's not, because YouTube itself has its own chat room. So it's not.
Okay.
Yes.
So the chat, though, if you hit chat at the bottom of if you're on the Zoom call here, I don't know if you're on the Zoom call, you hit chat, you can see what everybody's saying on my screen. It's the right-hand side of the screen. And I can't watch the chat. I answered a few people, but I can't.
I'm asking. We've been chatting, but people are concerned. We want to make sure that's not visible on YouTube.
It's not visible.
It's not. It's not.
I don't even care. But this is me personally, Rebecca. Don't go away, Rebecca. But this is me personally. I don't care if whoever replaced David Rockefeller and Michael Chertoff and Nancy Pelosi is watching our chat. We're not doing anything wrong. We mainly need to just alert the hundreds of thousands of people to go into those 250,000 positions in the Democrat and Republican Party and overthrow, in my opinion, the leadership that's there. But like Dan said, you don't necessarily want to say that when you go to your own meeting, unless you feel like saying it. Rebecca, go ahead.
No, I understand that. The reason why is because some of us are exchanging phone numbers in that chat. We don't necessarily want that out there on YouTube.
Yeah. No, I hear you there. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And I wish we would get together. I know that the one lady, I'm not going to say her last name, but Hyson is an excellent patriot here locally. And I've talked to her and a few other people about us getting together at, like some of these places, like have a meeting room, like a Shoney's or a Bob Evans, getting together and meeting in person, because that physical meeting in each county needs to happen also. We need to
do that, James. We really need to do that. There are a lot of us on this call that are Hamilton County, and Hamilton County is a big county. And the physical. I mean, the Zoom is great, but the physical meeting up is a big deal.
Let's do that. In fact,
Okay.
send me, if you're in Hamilton County, send to info@networkamerica.org your thing, and we'll get in touch with you and we'll set something up, because every county needs to do this. And believe me, as Tommy and David, every county needs leaders that are tough. I could bore you all for several hours. We are not just fighting Boss Hogg, who just wants to, we're fighting in my opinion, you may disagree, a monolithic shadow government. Yes, they sometimes kill each other when they argue, but they have a plan to bring socialism and then communism to America, in my opinion. So we've got to have tough leaders. They've been working at this overtly for 108 years, since the Federal Reserve Board didn't come in with a gun and take issuing our money. The Congress gave it to them. You know why? Because they came to Congressmen, they said, hey, every time you want to do something for your constituents, you have to raise taxes. If you'll borrow from us, the Federal Reserve Board said, just a little bit of interest, you can do things for your for your voters, and you don't have to raise taxes. And except for Lindbergh's dad and a few other people, they were opportunists then as they are now. They said, great. So they turned over our money so this group, which is a private company, issues all the money they want to their friends legally through the banks. And that's why we're outgunned money-wise in so many places, okay? So we cannot give up, but we can knock them over quick. I mean, 2 to 4 years, if everybody understands what to do and goes in and participates in their precinct system in their party. We can knock them over relatively quick. Go ahead.
And I respect that, and in all due respect, I do feel like the focus in any group, in this group, and I just want to throw that out there, is that although we can learn from history, we cannot do much with the past, but what we can do is we can micro focus on what we need to do now and where we want to go. And although we could focus on being outgunned by the money, we far outweigh with people,
yes,
and with passion and with intelligence, and that will always win out.
Yes, you're right.
So
you're right.
I just feel like, one of the things that happened in this last election is that, and the Democrats are very, very good at this, is they like to divert. And we're very good at allowing them to divert our attention. So, I really believe that we have to micro focus on what are the steps, what do we have to do, and
Right.
stick to it, and don't go back. Don't look back, just go forward and do what we got to do and march forward and stick to it and stick to our guns and forget all the rest. It just is a waste of time. We don't have a lot of time, but we can do this. We can do this.
And we can, as I said, we can knock them over quick. I agree with you. The only thing is I don't want people to give up when they see it's a little bit hard once you get in there, because
nothing worth having is easy.
That's right. That's right. So, okay, good point. And that's what we got to do. Let's get together and focus on exactly what people need to do. Before there was an internet, a lady named Robin Buskin, who was pregnant at the time in 1990, she was the internet. We all called her with the address. She had a book, which you can now look up online. Here's my friend's address. Do we need somebody in that precinct? Yes. We got 700 people running that way. And it was all this one lady taking them in and then sending out where people need to run. So we need to focus on exactly what people need to do. And if they just do that, we can educate them as we go on the Constitution and all that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next, we got somebody else, Q?
No, as far as I can see, nobody's raising their hand up. So
Okay, does
I-
anybody else want to say something?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, real quick. Dan, thank you for the information. I looked up. In Texas, they do not call it precinct committeemen. That's why I have had a hard time finding it. They call it state Republican executive committees. And there's one man and one woman from each Senate district for a total of 62. So that's why I was having so much trouble. Thank you. And I will continue to look at the information you linked.
But wait a minute, don't go away here. Dan, who's electing the county party chairman leaders? And it sounds like that's a state system. Shouldn't there also be a county system of who's electing the county Republican?
This is the way it works in Texas. The day of the primary election, that evening at 7 o'clock when the polls close, of course, they had voting centers like we did in Arizona this time, but in the past, at every precinct, at the polling location, when the polls close at 7 p.m., then anybody from each party who wants to be represent their precinct, I believe it's one man and one woman per precinct. It might be two men and two women if that particular precinct has more people. I don't remember. I think that's the way it is in Florida.
Yeah,
I just
it's one.
remember, there's 50 states. I can't remember them all. Okay. But the bottom line is this: it's done at a private caucus at the polling location. And then whoever shows up, if nobody shows up except two people, one man and one woman, by default, they are then representing their precinct on the county committee. That's the way it works.
And don't they elect the county party leaders?
Yes, later at an organizational meeting.
Yeah,
Yes.
The reason I asked that is because only having, I think Rebecca said 72 people statewide doesn't make any sense if we're talking
at the
about
state committee level. But each county, there's a lot of counties in Texas, and some of them, I believe, don't even have a party organization. A few counties, rural counties, just don't have anybody.
But does Rebecca,
in the case of that, you know what you can do? You can ask the state chairman, hey, I volunteer to be the county chairman. I'll build out the structure for you by recruiting volunteers. Somebody did that in Mississippi that I met through my writings at redstate.com years ago. County was very red, didn't have an organization. So he called the state chair and said, hey, I want to be the county chairman. I'll build out the organization. Okay. And they let him do it. So, but yeah, every state's different. That's why it's key that you got to find and get the state bylaws, or maybe it's called the Constitution, or maybe it's called the rules, whatever it is, get it by hook or by crook, and then get it for your county. But if you're in Connecticut and Massachusetts, there won't be anything for the county because they don't have county committees there. So every state is different, okay? You got to learn how it works for your state. And if you can find any kind of a committee committee delegate, committee chair handbook that exists, pour over it. Search the internet. There might be something out there. And yeah, the terminology is really critical. Just don't search on, if you don't know the lingo for your state, use delegate, use chairman, use, committeeman. Minnesota, they don't use the word precinct. They decided to call precincts basic political operating units. Okay. So, you might not find anything using the word precinct, but, I do have some good information about Minnesota at precinctstrategy.com. So go there, look at the links for Minnesota. And when I find stuff, everybody on this call, if you've got anything really good for your state and your county that isn't on my site, send it to me and I'll put it there to help other people.
It sounds like Leisha in Texas needs to go to that local caucus meeting and get involved in the county politics, because that's where there's a lot of spaces. By the way, appointment means nothing in most states. You got to get elected to actually be on the committee and have a say. So they'll say, oh no, we don't need you to run. We'll appoint you. Run.
Yeah. Let me say something about that.
Yeah.
Jim is right. I believe in most states, either by statute, like it is here in Arizona, or by the bylaws. Look, you have the only right you have is to run for precinct committeeman. You don't have a right to be a precinct committeeman. You have a right to run for it. That's it. Okay. And then in those states where it's done privately by caucus meetings, you have a right to show up and majority rules. And if you win, you're in. Okay. But then you're, after that, you're subject to the bylaws of the county and the state, or maybe it's the county, maybe it's not. Like I said, Massachusetts and Connecticut doesn't have it. But here in Arizona, after the election, so we had our election August 2020. Going forward, our county chairs, if by statute, they're the only person, we have 15 counties, they're the only person by law who can hand a name of somebody to our county board of supervisors in our 15 counties and say, I would like this person to fill a vacancy. If there's a particular county chair that just doesn't want any more people, for whatever reason, I don't know why you would do that, but I knew a guy down in one of the rural counties down by the border, very small county, only had about 50 total slots. Some libertarians moved into the county. They wanted to become Republican precinct committeemen. He didn't like the libertarians, so he didn't appoint any of them. Well, in the meantime, they all got elected to precinct committeemen, and he's not the chair anymore. They elected one of those libertarians, / Republicans. I don't have anything bad to say about libertarians necessarily, although, and I was a registered libertarian a long time ago, but they say this about conservatives. Trying to organize them is like herding cats. Trying to organize libertarians is like trying to herd kittens. That's why I'm not a libertarian anymore. I came back to the Republican Party. But yeah, that's why when you go in to volunteer to get appointed, you've got to go in vanilla. Republican. That's all I am. I'm a Republican. I want to register Republican, and I do. I want to register. I'm a Trump supporter, but I'm not going to. If I was trying to get into the Republican Party here in Arizona, I wouldn't wear my Trumpism on my sleeve. I've told people this: go in and just say, I'm a Republican. I want to increase registration of Republicans, and I want to increase the number of Republicans who get elected to office, period. How can they turn you away?
Yeah, Dan, that was a great story about that small county, though, because it shows the party leader didn't like anybody. Well, they got elected and he's not the party leader. That was a golden story. That was a golden story. And another reason I like the Constitution Party, if I could pick one, but the Democrats and Republicans control every county and every state. So that's why, in my opinion, everyone has to start in one of those parties and try to throw out the current party hacks who are listening to the greater forces. And I wanted to say I think it was Rebecca that made the good point. Once we get enough educated people running for precinct who just don't want forced vaccines and like the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, all their money becomes worthless. I wanted to make clear that I agree with you on that. But I don't want people to find they're hitting a brick wall at first and then give up. Some patriotic group 50 years ago used to say, don't wake up and give up in the same day. We got to have persistence. And it's only, for most people, it's only 20 hours a year or so. Even if they do everything they should be doing, the organizers, of course, it's going to be more time. Okay. If nobody else has anything to say, if they do, then speak up now. We'll probably close the meeting down because we don't want to just have meetings for meeting's sake. I think we've covered pretty much here. We're going to get together in Hamilton County, God willing. Does anybody else have anything they want to say? Oh, I guess we've just covered absolutely everything.
Jim?
Yeah, go ahead.
Tina was asking about Alabama. She said she needs some help over in the chat. So okay. I told her to put a number 1 by her name so she could ask. I don't know if she saw it or not. Okay. In any case, we need to help get up what each state's
laws are, which is usually in the revised code, the Alabama revised
Jim?
code, I think it's called state.
Jim?
Yep.
I have a contact in Alabama who could help. Can
Okay.
you have that person email me?
Oh, well, this
Diane?
is Tina. The reason I didn't respond is because somebody else told me to give them a phone call.
Oh, okay.
But and you, Dan, you're actually the person that I helped because you gave me Melody's contact.
Yeah,
and
Melody. Melody is the
she's
person.
put me in touch with 3 people. We're
Wow.
on our 3rd person and cannot get any response. Shock.
Yeah, right.
So
Okay, well, if you're connected with Melody, that's who I would have connected.
yeah, she's awesome, but
Yeah,
we're in
she
different counties.
Okay, let us just say this week we're in the week of the 14th or 15th here. So just talk with Jim and Michael, and we're going to just troubleshoot it. Okay, you're not alone, and that's what we're here to do, is to help you get the research done and pull it out. Okay, so send your
Michael,
number to Jim and I. Yes.
Yeah, and Michael, let me clarify for people, because Michael's very organized and he thinks in terms of what week of the year we're in. So when you say 14th week, you mean 14th week of this year of 221,
the calendar year. Yes,
yeah,
sir.
so he's trying to do it. But I think it's a good idea that we all think in terms of how the year is progressing and how much we're getting done. So if we had, go ahead.
I just wanted to point out, Cheris wanted to talk to.
Oh yeah, Cheris is a great local patriot. I only have to meet these people once or twice, and you know that they're not faking it. So Cheris is a great local patriot and connector. But go ahead, Cheris.
Yeah, I'm not a precinct chairman, but my good friend is. We both run the Westchester Tea Party, and she's telling me that the Central Committee has not met at all this year because of COVID. What do you do about that? It's been a whole year.
Well, we can meet, and we're going to try to help everybody that wants to run for precincts starting in February of next year. And if they don't meet, too bad for them.
She's trying to get a hold of like-minded Central Committee people. I think she just she's not able to get the contacts for them. I mean, she has some of them.
Yeah. Those are on the those should be on your Board of Elections website. They are in Hamilton County. If not, you can go ask for who won in the last election. Whoever won in 2018, that they're going to be the ones that are on the Central Committee now. But we don't have to limit this personal meeting to Hamilton County people. We can get together all the Warren and Butler, and we need to find new people who are from, like, the group that's meeting at Solid Rock Church. You and I think we're at this, at least I was there a month ago. We need to find new people and have them run for precinct. The people on the Central Committee, by and large, since we've been inactive for a long time, they are going to be party hacks who have a family member that works for the county, or they work for the county, or they're going to be inclined to, they wouldn't be on there probably if they weren't inclined to keep things going the way they're going. So we need all new even if they keep their identity on the down low, we need fire-breathing patriots who are planning to turn this country around. And so I wouldn't expect you to find too many like-minded people on the Central Committee that are actually going to buck the current rhinos running the party.
Well, they have put some on. They've put some on there before and had a lot on there, but then things drift away, people get off. And so, but they need to do it again because it's completely controlled.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we need to do again. And
Jim?
Yeah.
I have the list, Therese. I have the list for Butler County.
Okay.
I have the names, telephone numbers, and everything. I have it all. So I'll get with you.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Good. Okay. Anybody else have anything?
I don't see anybody else.
Okay. Well, listen, then let's thank everybody. We need to, however it's done, we need to get it spread to all the people who are wanting to do something. Tell them what to do all across the country. Tell people about next week's meeting. It will again change the link for the meeting next week. The call opens up at 10 till 8, but it should be up there early in the week, like at least Wednesday or Thursday, how you get into the Zoom call next week. And we need thousands of people and thousands of groups to spread this. And again, we're not telling anybody else they can't do this. I just don't know where you go to get a list of the people like former state rep Candace Keller or Dan Schultz, where you see them all in one list that they're trying to, as long as they want to be known, that they're the leader you can go to in that part of the country. That needs to be done too. And the rules for each state need to be put up. So we're just trying to do that as a service. We don't care if 50 other websites copy it and put it on their websites. You know, that's not the idea, is to limit information or content or people connecting. Go ahead.
Dan Schultz wants to speak.
Yeah, I just wanted to say one thing, and that is we need going forward to have a monthly barometer. And I have 3 barometers as to progress. Okay. The ultimate one is the number of precinct committeemen in any given county with respect to the number of slots that are available and the number that are now filled. So for example, in Maricopa County, where I live, thankfully, our county recorder, the elections department of it, publishes every month a spreadsheet of every party that has ballot status, Dems, Greens, Libertarians, and the Republicans. And then it shows how many slots are available in each precinct, how many got filled through the volunteer process, and how many vacancies are left. And so those are hard numbers monthly, but not every county in our state does that. So that's what I look at. And let me tell you what those numbers are as of right now. We went from, it's 7,467. I got a cheat sheet here, right? For each county in the state. We started out with 7,467 potential slots in 2020. We elected only 2,729 in 2020. That was 36.5%. We have added 850 to that 2729. That takes us almost to 50% in the first 3 months of this year. Okay. If we continue on that pace, we'll get to 100% easily by May of next year. And that's what we need to do. So that's the first barometer, number of precinct committeeman slots filled. That's my, we're going to save the republic or not barometer or gauge. Okay.
Okay.
Then the other one is, well, how many hits am I getting to precinctstrategy.com? Or how many hits are you getting to NetworkAmerica.org? Or how many hits is this great site that's on Bitrix that these people have put together? How many hits are they getting? How many hits are they getting on the precinct strategy sites at CloudHub, Gab, MeWe? How many hits are they getting? Where it directs you to my blog where you can then find out how to do this. So how many hits are all these sites getting? I'm only getting, if I'm lucky, 600, 700 hits a day. That ain't going to cut it. And then the other thing is the sale of my book. If you read this book, those of you who have read it, did that not tell you exactly what to do? How many people have read this book and then said, shit, screw it, I'm not going to do that? I don't know. But if you've read that book and you've learned this is 7th grader stuff and I can do this. So I don't even track the sale of my book. But if it becomes a bestseller, I think we have a shot at taking over the country again, taking it back from the people who are running it. And, I use that Plato quote. I don't know if I have it handy here, but, Plato said, those who refuse, one of the penalties for refusing to engage in politics is that you are destined to be ruled by your inferiors. Take a look at the people who are in the House of Representatives and the US Senate and your state legislators. That's what has happened to us. And it's because, bottom line, 400,000 precinct committeeman slots in the Republican Party. And since 2009, when I got started in this, up until the present, going into the most important election in our lifetime, We never got past 200,000 filled. We're at 50% strength. If we don't turn this around between now and the 2022 primaries, goodbye, Republic. It was nice having a Republic, but it's gone. That's it. That's all I got.
Excuse me, Dan. Somebody's asking where they can buy your book. I mean, what is the link to it?
What's that? Go to
where they can buy your book.
PrecinctStrategy.com. Scroll down a little bit. There's a link to Amazon, and that's where you can buy it. Amazon. I would have sold it on a different platform. A lot of people say, well, I can't buy it at Amazon.
The evil one.
Go ahead, then don't buy it. I don't care. Look, I'm not a book publisher. Okay. Amazon's a book publisher. And the nice thing about Amazon is that I don't have a stack of these books here at home. Neither does Amazon. The way it works at Amazon is when you buy the book, they print a single copy.
That's right.
Yes,
That's
right.
direct publishing. It's beautiful. It's fantastic. It's really smart, right? Now I know there are other publishers, and the next time I write a book, if you can tell me who to go to do it as good as Amazon does it, and they're conservative, I'll do it. And I am going to write another book soon. It's just I got to find some time to do it,
Yeah.
So,
and by the way, it's like Zoom. Yeah, sure. It's like Zoom. Zoom allegedly is owned by the Red Chinese. We went to this week. Michael's still going to use Jitsi for the smaller meetings. That's a better system, open source, but they're not supposedly ready for big meetings yet, according to some who've used it. But okay, I don't like that Zoom is owned if it's owned by the Red Chinese, but as long as we're not doing anything immoral, we got to do what we can do to get the word out. A lot of word got out on a lot of things before Facebook and Twitter became draconian and shut it down, but so we got to use what will work to get the job done, as long as we're not doing anything immoral.
Let me say something about that. Look, I'm not just some guy, I went to West Point. I was an intelligence officer, had a top secret clearance with special compartmented information billets, which are really hard to come by. And I had to have those for the kind of work I did. I studied communism. I know who the communist Chinese are. You think they don't know who the hell we are and what we're doing? They already know. But whether they know or not doesn't change this. We've got to do something, and they know what we need to do, but they can't stop us if we do it. So we got to organize and unite politically where we live through the best tool we have right now to change things, and that's the apparatus of the Republican Party, and we're not using it. If you go to a Tea Party, you can't change who's running the RNC. Tea parties can't have no effect on that. Any other group, a pro-life group, whatever, unless the membership of the Tea Party and the pro-life group and the Second Amendment group pivot and get their members to come in and take over the Republican Party, forget about it. You're splintered. Stop being splintered. Like I said, stop being a donor, become an owner. Become an owner of the party, and the people who own our party are the unpaid volunteers who run for or volunteer for a vacant precinct committeeman slot, and they can't keep us out. That's the beauty of it. Once the election cycle comes around in each state where you can run for precinct committeeman, you get elected. And then once you're elected, you're golden. The problem is we don't have enough people running.
Right. Okay, listen, I guess it's 10 till 10. We'll close down the meeting because we don't want people to feel like maybe don't want to miss something, but they don't want to commit half of their week to this meeting. And we're going to have Dan's stuff up on Network America because our idea is to create connections, not to monopolize or whatever you want to call it. So thank you, everybody, for coming in. Q, thanks for hosting. Michael.
We just wanted to point out the link is going to be the same as long as we have these meetings. So the link of the Zoom meeting is going to be the same next week.
Okay.
Just forward it to your friends and family members.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you, everybody. Really.
Can I say something about that? I hope it's not the same link because the link didn't work.
Now, what you're talking about for the Zoom meeting? This is the Zoom
The,
meeting.
the link you had in the email that went out did not work because it had OR on the end of it for some reason.
Oh,
You mean I did
how did you
what I
get
just
in
sent
then?
out? What
So
I
a
just
whole
sent
bunch
out?
of people who should have been on this call never got to this call.
Oh my God. All right.
Okay, I got to do something about that because I cut and paste from the website
I
and
mean,
ran everything
I
together.
link
recommend
is
you
correct.
test it first.
The link
I'm
is
not
correct.
dealing with it.
Probably there was a miscommunication between me and Jim. Probably.
No, it wasn't. It was I cut and pasted and didn't check it. And
Oh.
this is not my strong point. Maybe Michael can look in on this next week or somebody that's more. I goof up these tech things, unfortunately, and we goofed up two times, and that's probably why we had 18 instead of 60 or 70 people. Daggone it. Okay, well, let's correct that next time. We got to check. Remind me, we got to check that link before we send it out. That's for sure. Oh, I'm now depressed for the rest of the night. Okay, but thanks for everybody that participated, and we will hopefully keep in touch with and keep the movement growing. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. And or
Hey, Q,
yes.
did you see that person waiting in the waiting room at a 41 at a San Francisco number?
I probably didn't. No, I didn't see anyone.
All right, because something just popped up on my screen, and I'm trying to capture the number, and the participants are falling off right now as we're ending the call. But do you have access to the waiting room?
Yeah, I see everyone here.
Okay. Do you see a 415 number?
415 number. No.
Okay. All right. Something popped up, and so I thought I'd say something to you. And yeah, 29 people versus 100.
Yeah,
And
that's not good.
no,
You
we're
know,
gonna-
the